South Australia on a series of events that relate to Adobe in education. And this one is all about Adobe Spark Video, the simplest way to make a quality video. No one has challenged me on that before, and it's about getting a story made, basically, and just about every video production is about storytelling. And the beautiful part of Spark Video is that I'm not really going to be calling it a video production tool, because it's a storytelling tool, and it's nothing like Premiere Rush, which has lots and lots of features and elements to make your stories look amazing. And it's certainly nothing like Premiere Pro, which is the ultimate video editing solution. In fact, it's such the ultimate that it's used at the highest level of multimedia. Marvel Studios use Premiere Pro to put on their blockbuster movies. Just about all television networks use Premiere Pro, and most video production is done in Premiere Pro. We're working with Spark Video, so we're going at the very basic level of telling a video story. Now, what I'd like to do first is show you a couple of ways of getting access to Spark Video. I'm going to share, I'm already sharing my screen, aren't I? So I'm just going to bring across the Adobe desktop app onto the screen. Let's make it a little bit bigger. I'm doing this because I know that at the Department for Education in South Australia, most of you will have access to the Adobe Creative Cloud desktop app. And once you've got access to it, it gives you access to all of the Adobe apps. And if your school hasn't given you access to this, ask the question why. Why haven't we got access yet when the other schools have? It's probably because you don't realize you've got access to it, or the school has decided that they're not giving you access. They want to control everything, which happens as well. But if you happen to have access to the Adobe Creative Cloud desktop app, it'll be called Adobe Creative Cloud in your applications menu. If you go to the top center, I'm just going to use my little spotlight tool here, my screen pointer, and it should activate in a sec. There we go. We can see desktop, mobile, and web, those three different categories. At the moment, by default, we're in desktop, so you can see all the desktop apps. And you can control which ones you want to install, which ones you want to work with, which ones you don't, which ones you want to uninstall. And it's also good to know on the left-hand side all the different things like tutorials and how to manage fonts. There's so many elements to this. We're not going to go into them all now, but to get access to Spark, there are two ways of doing it through the desktop app. If you go to the mobile section, you'll notice that Spark is in fact three different separate mobile applications. There's Spark Post, Spark Page, and Spark Video. And if you send a link, you will get a link to be able to then download those particular apps on your mobile devices. Spark Post is available for iOS and Android. Spark Page and Video are only iOS, only for iPads and for iPhones. But most teachers and most schools are not going through the mobile version. They're going into the web section at the top there where it says web. And down below you can see a part here called Spark, creating stunning graphics, web pages and videos in minutes, and click launch. And when you click launch, because you're already logged in to the Adobe Creative Cloud desktop app, it will instantly launch Spark for you, and away you go. So that's probably the best way for you and your students to access all the Spark tools through the Creative Cloud desktop app. However, not every school has access to the Adobe Creative Cloud desktop app. So I'm going to take that off the screen, and I'm going to take this off the screen, and I'm going to show you another way of accessing Spark, which might be easier for you. I'm just going into a Chrome browser. I could be using a Firefox browser, I could be using a Safari browser or an Edge browser. I'm not going to be using an Internet Explorer browser. And can I suggest to you that if you're still using Internet Explorer, stop it now. It's time to move on. Not even Microsoft are supporting Internet Explorer anymore. So please don't use Internet Explorer for Spark. It won't be a very pleasant experience for you at all. Any other browser should be fine for you. I've chosen Chrome. I could have been using any of those others. And I'm typing in the address bar spark.adobe.com. Spark.adobe.com. when you've typed in spark.adobe.com, and if you've accidentally put that into the search engine, that's fine. It'll come up with Spark as probably the first entry anyway. You'll be encouraged to sign in. And on the top right-hand side, you can see where it says sign in. If you click on that sign in button, this is where you can go and log in with your school account. Now, this is assuming your school has an Adobe Creative Cloud account for you, and it should work perfectly. And once you've gone into that, you'll see your school federated ID system that you probably use on a daily basis, and it'll just be very familiar for you. You'll log in as in your school email address, your school password, and you'll have access to Spark. But if you know that your school hasn't got that for you and your staff and your colleagues and your students, then you've got Google, Facebook, Apple, or you can create an Adobe ID. And they're all the different free ways of accessing. Of course, you do have to be 13 to be able to access it through those ways. And that's why we're encouraging the Year 7s and below to making sure you're logging in with your school account so you're not faking your age to have a Google, Facebook, Apple, or Adobe ID. So I'm going to log in with my school account, which is the same way that corporate people would log in with their corporate accounts. And because I work at Adobe, I will have to go through 2 layers of certification most likely. And I'll get you to do the same now if you don't mind. Just log in with your school account if you haven't already. And I'm going to sign in myself in my Adobe credentials, and you'll be seeing your school credentials at this point. Here comes my second level of authentication. Any second now, my phone will buzz to just verify that it's me wanting to log in. It's normally buzzed by now. Any second now, 3, there we go, I've got the buzz. So I'm just going to verify that. And I'm now going into Spark. And you know you're in because you will see the Spark logo at the top left-hand corner, hopefully, and below that a little add button, a little blue dot with a white add button. I think sometimes if it's the first time you've gone into Spark, there might be a little bit of branding or a bit of marketing or maybe a little tutorial or something that comes up. See if you can close those windows and just get to the stage now where you've got the blue dot and the plus symbol. Once you're there, you're ready to proceed with this tutorial. And I'm going to stop this chapter now and just check that everyone's okay, because there's no point really going any further, because this is a hands-on workshop and we want you to be creating while I'm teaching. That's the best way to learn, is to make. So I'm going to stop the chapter now, and I'll just stop sharing while I do that. And we'll go into the next chapter. We'll be introducing Spark Video in context with a range of other Adobe applications. 2. And in this chapter, we're going to just remind people to make sure their microphones are muted and their cameras are all muted now, which is terrific. And I'd like to play a quick video. This video gives you an overview of Adobe in Education, where you can see how the Spark tools relate to many other tools that you have access to through the department. Adobe's industry standard tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, After Effects, Animate, InDesign and Dreamweaver are vital for media, IT and arts educators in K-12 and tertiary classrooms across the globe. But these days there are a growing number of simple to use tools like Spark Video for quick and simple video stories, Spark Post for digital posters and social graphics, Spark Page for quick web pages that Adobe will host for you, Aero for augmented reality experiences, Acrobat DC for PDF manipulation, Adobe XD, a design thinking tool for designing, prototyping and sharing the designs of apps and websites, Dimension for making 3D models, Rush for powerful video editing on your mobile and desktop devices, Fresco, which is the ultimate drawing tool for the iPad and Surface Pro, Photoshop for the iPad, the new Photoshop camera, Character Animator for real-time animation, the new Illustrator on the iPad app, and more. These apps are being used by maths and science educators, English and humanities teachers, law professors, health and physical education teachers, and in any K-12 or tertiary curriculum area that is looking to add an extra level of engagement and creativity into the learning and teaching process. Get to know these apps through the Adobe Education Exchange, which is getting close to 1 million members across the globe with a wide variety of new, free online self-paced courses and resources for educators. The Adobe Education Exchange is made by teachers for teachers. It's a great way to learn how and why Adobe tools are so beneficial in all curriculum areas. It is also the gateway to the new Adobe Creative Educator program, which is a badging program designed for any educator in any curriculum area and level. You don't have to be an Adobe expert to be an Adobe Creative Educator. We do hope you enjoyed this session. Please do share what you learned today with your colleagues and wider education networks. Use this QR code or link if you would like to follow up anything that was presented during this session, or if you would like to join the Australasian Adobe in Education monthly news update. Enjoy this session. And what a fantastic voiceover artist that person is. Now, I just want to share a quick little message here just to let you know that those apps are available now through the Department for Education at your schools, and we can talk about, if you haven't got them already, Tommy's here in the background, he can help you. In fact, you might even want to ask him a question. If your school hasn't got them, ask him how to get them. He's the expert in terms of the deployment side of things. I'm the expert in terms of what you do once you've got them. And I probably didn't introduce myself properly at the start in the recordings. I've been a teacher for 30 years. This is my 30th year in education. 23 years as a classroom teacher in primary, secondary, and as a university lecturer at Swinburne University in Melbourne. And now for the last 8 years, I've been having this fantastic role of being able to share my passion for digital creativity to teachers all over the Asia Pacific region with Adobe. Very excited to share with you that every one of the Adobe Creative Cloud applications is available in all Victorian Department of Education secondary schools, in all secondary and primary schools throughout the New South Wales Department of Education, and just about every other system in Australia is now having this opt-in approach where the schools choose whether they want them or not, basically. So that's how it works, and it's just incredible to see the work that students are doing with the highest level of our tools and the lowest level of our tools, such as Spark Video. If you ever need any help at all with any of our applications, this site here, helpx.adobe.com, is the link. It's called the Adobe Help Center. And Tommy, if you get a chance, I'll get you to put that link into the chat for those who are with us live. helpx.adobe.com. It's a one-stop shop for any help and support that's required for any of the Creative Cloud applications. It's a terrific resource to know about. All right, we're going to stop this chapter now and we're going to get stuck into working with Adobe Spark Video. In between the chapters, we've downloaded some assets from a website called timkitchen.net/washhands. I'll just show people who are watching the recordings where we got this from. There's the website there, timkitchen.net/wash-hands. And we've downloaded that still image, that video, and that video, and that still image. And we're going to use these assets to build a video story. Let's go back to the Chrome browser where Spark is open. So if you can all open up Spark now, and we're in our desktop or our dashboard where we have a look at all of our Spark projects that we've been creating, or we're getting some inspiration from templates and so on. If this is the first time that you've used Spark, you won't have any projects that you've created, but you can see I've got a project here, a video that I've made. I've got a Spark page, a web page that I've made. 251 people have looked at it and 4 people have liked it. Okay, could do better than that. Another web page, 407 people have looked at this and only 2 people have liked it. Oh my goodness. So you get a sense of the analytics of how many people have looked at your pages. And the other type of Spark that I've got here is a poster. And we're focusing on video for this session. So to create a video, up the top left-hand corner underneath the Spark symbol is that plus symbol. Click on that plus symbol now, and you'll see where you can create flyers, Instagram stories, Instagram posts, Facebook posts, collages. I'm going to skip the next two. Branded graphics, custom-sized graphics. They're all Spark posts. They all are desktop publishing posters, flyers, social graphic things that you can create with Spark. Web page, that's Spark page. And video is Spark video, which is what we're focusing on. So go ahead and click video now for us. And it's going to say every great story starts somewhere. It's a bit gimmicky. You can do a title if you want to. I'm going to skip that just to save time. This is good. If you're an English teacher and you're teaching genres of storytelling, it's worth noting that if you choose one of these genres, we'll provide for you within the Spark environment a scaffold on how to tell a story in a particular genre. Pretty cool. But for most of you, you're just going to avoid that and click this button here called Start from Scratch. So go ahead and click that, and it's going to start loading the Adobe Spark environment for us to build our video. Any second now, it'll be loading. It kind of depends on how much bandwidth you've got. If you're working with the iPad version or the iPhone version, there's none of this waiting. It's instant because it's part of an app, and bang, you're in it and you start building your video. Because we're working with the browser version, we do have to rely on the bandwidth that we've currently got. And you can see the first thing that comes up once you're in is a little tutorial in case, or some guides in case you've forgotten everything, and so that'll help you. Close that now if you don't mind, and what you've got now is the environment to build our video. It's very basic. It's nothing like Premiere Rush or Premiere Pro for that matter. It's very basic, just a handful of buttons to get you started. The first button we're going to click and work with is, well, actually I won't do this one, that's our voiceover. I'll do that a little bit later. First what I want to do is I want to bring in some video content. That first video that we downloaded, we're going to bring that in, we're going to just trim it slightly so that it becomes part of our story. Or actually, I'm rethinking that. I'm thinking, let's go even simpler. Let's just bring in the photo, the image that we downloaded. You can see this plus symbol allows you to bring in video, titles, photos, and little icons from the internet that you can add to your story as well. Let's go ahead and click photo. And when you click photo, on the right-hand side, you can see a panel. This same panel appears in Spark Page and in Spark Post as well. Upload photo, take photo. If you click on that, it'll open up your webcam and you can take a photo of yourself if you want to. And this Find Free Photos is really awesome because it searches for royalty-free images that you can work with. Most students, they just grab images from Google, and you're not supposed to do that. I mean, 98% of images on Google are copyrighted. And if you use them for something that you're going to publish, you're actually breaking the law. So please encourage your students not to use just any image from Google, but go into royalty-free sites. And this Find Free Photos actually takes you to a whole range of royalty-free image sites, which is fantastic. But because we've got the image and I created it and I'm giving you access to it, let's click Upload Photo. And I'm going to go and look for my folder on my desktop, which is this one here. And I'm looking for my first photo, which is, I called it Wash Hands 1. It's called something slightly different for you, hopefully, because it'll be the JPEG that you've got. And that photo will start loading into the start of our video. It takes a little while to load. And once it's loaded, you'll see on the top right-hand corner, you should be able to make a little edit tool. When you click that edit tool, you can then work on scaling your picture so that it isn't as big as it currently first comes in. This is going to be the first image of our video, but I want a title there as well. So I'm going to go back to my little plus symbol. I'm going to click on that and go to text. And I just want to bring in the words hand hygiene. All that right? Looks okay. I'm not totally happy with the style of font. I'm just going to bring that down a little bit. It's my main theme. If I go to the top right-hand corner, you've got layout, theme, resize, and music. If I go to theme and click on that, you can see my branded themes are my Adobe brands. They're great for when I'm doing Adobe stuff, but for this, I'm going to choose one of the more generic themes. I'm going to go with title, which is quite nice. And that theme will appear right across my whole story. I don't like the fact that the title is appearing over my image. I'm going to click on that title and just drag it down to the bottom center. And I might make my image just a little bit smaller again. And I'm reasonably happy with that. But let's get a sense of what this actually looks like as a video now that I've got my title and I've got my still image here. To do that, I'm going to click this play button here at the bottom left-hand corner of the stage and have a listen to what happens. You hear the music? But instantly some music appears. In this case, I've got some ukulele music happening. I'm not particularly happy with that, so I'm going to go up to the top right-hand corner again where it says music. I'm going to click on that music drop-down menu, and you can see a whole range of royalty-free music that you can work with under different categories. I could add my own music, but just like if I'm adding my own photo, I've got to be very careful of copyright. So just make sure that you're using royalty-free music or the music that we provide for you through the application. Don't click the words straight away. If you click the word, it will load the song. But if you click the play button next to the word, it gives you a preview of the song in advance. That'll do. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to click on right beside you. That's my song that I'm choosing. Feel free to click and preview other songs too until you're happy with the one that you want. Then click the word. And now when I hit this play button again, and I've got my start of my story working. Now I only need it to go for about 3 seconds because that's as long as it takes to read the words hand hygiene and I get the sense of what this story is about. So I'm going to go to the bottom right-hand corner of the stage where it says 4 seconds at the moment. I'm going to click on that and just reduce that down to 3 seconds. And that means that this particular part of the story, this particular section, will only go for 3 seconds. Here's a little rule that I suggest to you. Try to make sure that each section of your story is no more than 10 seconds. There's a rule in video production called the 7-second rule. No image should be on your screen for longer than 7 seconds because that's pretty much the average attention span of most people. There's someone who did a PhD research on this. The average length of an edit in film and television is 3.2 seconds. So our attention span is pretty small. If we're creating a video story, we've got to keep the visuals happening all the time to keep the attention of our audience. I'm going to stop the chapter now to see how we're going and just see if we can help people who are with us live in the chat if they need help. In the next chapter, we're going to bring in some video content and trim that video content to add to our story. And we've already looked at how to get a still image and how to get music and titles into the start of our story. If I go and share my screen now, what I'd like to do is add a new section to the story. So down the bottom left-hand corner, there's a plus symbol here. And when you click on that plus symbol, it will create a new section to the story. I have a blank stage. And this is where I actually want to bring in some video content. So I'm going to click on the little video symbol. And I'm looking now for my first MP4 video, PTC Hand Hygiene Part 1 DVD. Click open to that. And we'll see the video. We've got some color bars and we've got a tone to start with. I want to get rid of all of that. So I'm going to use these little trimming tools. That's my in point handle. That's my out point handle. I'm going to start with the out point handle and just drag it right through to the end of this clip, which is around about there at 15 seconds. And the beginning of this clip is around about there at 1 second and 6 frames. So I've done my trimming, I think. If I hit play, I'll get a sense of what this is really like.
According
You can hear me saying action just a little bit, so I'm going to move it forward a little bit more. Still a little bit more. And a little bit more. So it's about 1 second and 8 frames.
According to the World Health Organization, most healthcare-associated infections are preventable through good hand hygiene. So, You should wash your hands regularly and always after going to the toilet and before you eat.
Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I could probably trim that out just a fraction more so her mouth closes. And now between the in point and the out point, as soon as I click save at the top right-hand corner and click save, that video, just the parts between the in and the out point, are loading themselves into my story, into the second part of my story. That's my daughter, by the way. She has just started a teaching degree at Monash University, which I'm very proud of her. She was doing a law degree at Deakin last year, and yeah, very pleased that she's moving into teaching, but it's another story. All right, let's have a look at what we've got so far. If I wanted to play everything so far, I wouldn't be hitting this play button. I'd be hitting this play button down the bottom left-hand corner. And when I click on that, it should play everything so far. Notice that the volume is really low on the video. So I'm going to stop the preview by going up to the top right-hand corner of that little preview. And when you're in video mode, just click on your video. You'll notice there's another edit tool. And when you click on this edit tool, you can adjust the size of your video. You can re-trim it if you need to. And you can even continue the clip, which is interesting. I haven't tried that before. I imagine it just means adding more to that clip. But this is the clip volume which I'm wanting to do. At the moment it's on soft. I could choose mute, and sometimes that's important if the audio you don't want in the video, and that's often the case. But in this case I want it to be loud. So I'm going to activate loud and try again.
According to the World Health Organization, most healthcare associations...
Okay, it's a little bit louder, but I think the music's too loud. So I'm going to go up to my music section at the top right-hand corner, and I've got a little volume control that allows me to control the backing tracks. I'm going to bring the music down a little bit, and then I'm going to try again.
According to the World Health Organization, most healthcare associations...
I would argue that music's probably still a little bit too loud. Down a little bit more. It might be fine for you. I just found that particular soundtrack is a bit loud, possibly.
According to the World Health Organization, most healthcare associations...
Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. And my story is taking shape. I just want to make this a bit more interesting though. Next to music is resize. I'm not going to play with that because that changed it from widescreen to square. If I was going to do a story for Instagram, for instance, that's where I'd apply that. But I don't. This is going to stay a widescreen story. But if I go to theme, we've already looked at that. But I'm going to go to layout now. And I'm thinking we might choose the split screen layout for this, which means that my video is going to appear on one side and I'm going to have some text on the other side. And my video is now needs to be rescaled a little bit. So I'll just bring the video down to make sure that we can see all of her or most of her. And on this side, I'm thinking we might apply some of the key words that she's talking about. So let's go back to the resource, the website, and I'm just going to copy and paste just that first sentence. I'm going to copy it into here, and maybe, just the first sentence. We'll get rid of the second sentence. Now that I've done that, I'll just make that text a little bit smaller, actually. And now I'm going to play just this section to see what this is like.
According to the World Health Organization, most healthcare...
Pretty good. If I play the whole thing, let's see what it's like.
According to the World Health Organization, most healthcare-associated infections are preventable through good hand hygiene.
Pretty happy with that, and I'm pretty happy with the look and feel of my story so far. So what we've covered in this chapter is how to trim some video content into our story and insert it in, how to change our layouts and add some more text like we did last time, and the story is starting to take shape. I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to stop this chapter and just check if anyone needs any support and help. We've only got 15 minutes left, so we're going to rush through to the next chapter in a sec. And working with South Australian Department for Education, sharing Spark Video. We've already shown you how to do some basic operations. This chapter is about doing a voiceover and just sharing and exporting what we've created. So let me go ahead and share my screen again. And you can see we've got our basic image on the first part with a title. We've got our little video content with some more text, and we've split the screen by going to layout and split the screen. I'm going to add another section to the story here. And this time I'm going to bring in the photo, the second photo, like we did the first time. And this time I'm going to do a voiceover. So we'll just get the photo a little bit smaller when it loads properly, and a little bit smaller. And I think this is step 1. So I'm going to type in the text step 1. And then my voiceover, I'll just bring that down. Well, I can bring it up there actually, it'll look good up there. My voiceover will be something along the lines of, step 1, wet your hands for 5 seconds, then turn off the tap to save water. So that's what I'm going to say in my voiceover. I'm just going to move that onto the other screen so that I can see it while I... To do the recording of the voiceover, you click on this microphone symbol. When you click it the first time, it'll ask you to activate your microphone so that your microphone will connect with your browser. If that just doesn't work, try opening up a different browser in Spark. This project will still be saved. It's always saved. You can open up any browser in the world. You can go home and keep working on this. You can go into your mobile phone. As long as you've logged into the same account that you logged in earlier, you can just keep working on this project because it's saved in the cloud. So I'm going to do my voiceover now. Let's see how we go. Step 1, wet your hands for 5 seconds, then turn off the tap to save water. Now if I hit the play button just to make sure that's worked. Step 1, wet your hands for 5 seconds, then turn off the tap to save water. I'm pretty happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is just play the whole story.
According to the World Health Organization, most healthcare-associated infections are preventable through good hand hygiene. So, you should wash your hands regularly and always after going to the toilet and before you eat.
Step 1, wet your hands for 5 seconds, then turn off the tap to save water. And we've got these credits that appear at the end, and if you used any image at all that's from our royalty-free sites through, what was that feature again? Let me just bring it up. Here it is, Find Free Photos. Those images will be automatically credited at the end of your story, which is pretty cool. All right, let's go ahead and start sharing. There's a few ways of sharing. If I clicked preview, it'll be just like I showed you before. It'll preview the story without needing to go online or download or anything. You can just preview it from your device. That's pretty cool. If I go share, which I'm going to do right now, I can do a couple of things. I can send it straight to my Google Drive account. If you're a Google school, you use Google Classroom, you have a Google Drive, that's a really cool feature to keep everything very secure within your school cloud-based environment. If I go invite, that actually allows me to email or put in the email address of other people that I know have got Spark Video, and so I can collaborate with them and we can build this story together. It becomes a collaboration tool, which is very cool. If I go publish, then I can give it a title, and pick a category. I'll say education, turn on or off my author attribution. When I'm working with students, I tend to encourage them to turn it off to keep things as private as possible, and then click create link. And what's happening now is your whole video is being packaged and being sent up to one of the video servers that we work with. We tend to link with Amazon and Microsoft. There are two providers of servers around the world. And it's all for free. There's no cost involved other than the fact that you've got a Creative Cloud license that your school has paid for. And then we'll see a link being generated. It's taking a little bit of time. Any second now it will appear. And that link I can then paste into my learning management system or into my Google Classrooms, or whichever way we communicate with, I can then share that video via the cloud through that link. This often needs a bit of a drum roll to get working. Let's get the drum roll happening. Any second now. 3, 2, 1. Try that again. see that link any second now. 3, 2. It kind of never works, does it? For the third try. Here we go. It's always this time of the night too. It's nearly 5 o'clock in Melbourne, and just about every teenager is on Netflix or YouTube right now, which is why the internet's a little... Here we go. Beautiful. All right, so I've got the link. Notice one other thing too. I could go straight to Google Classrooms or Microsoft Teams and bring it straight into those environments. Or I could grab the Embed Code. And if you know anything about HTML coding, that Embed Code allows me to embed the video into my school newsletter, into my school website, into my learning management system. So it's not a link, it's actually a video embedded on my site, which is really cool. I'm just going to grab that link now and put it into the chat so that you can see that that everything's worked. And if you click that link that's in the chat for those who are with me live, you'll see my video, which is really quite cool. And those of you who have been able to create something and share it, I'm going to encourage you to do the same. See if you can put your video into the chat so we can share and see what each other has been creating. The last thing is the download button. If I click download, that will just create an MP4 video file, an actual video file in my downloads folder for me to share that way. So that's worth keeping in mind as well. That might be your preferred way of saving your video. If you're working with an iPad or an iPhone, it'll be an MOV video, an Apple style video. So they're the different ways that we can share. It's now packaging my video, it's saving it as an MP4, and it'll be in my downloads any second. Trust me, it works, and it works well. So that's it, folks. That is Spark Video, the simplest way to make a quality video story. I'm yet to find any other application that will do it as simply. I'll just stop sharing while that's saving away. Hopefully that's been helpful for you. The last chapter we're going to play is a set of resources to help you go on with your learning, not just about Spark Video, but the other Spark tools and also some of the other Adobe products out there that may interest you. So we'll stop this chapter now and we'll see you again in a second. Now, this is about some resources I want to share. So what I'm going to do is actually play a video. The video was actually made, in fact, I've got a little quiz question at the end of the video for you. Can you tell me which, out of the 4 applications I used, name 2 of them that were used to make this video? And this is my colleague, Rob the Robot, sharing some resources for you. Take screen grabs. Tommy and I will try and get some links in the chat while the video is playing so you've got access to them. And then we can just verify those a little bit later. So enjoy this.
Hi there, it's Rob the Robot here from the Adobe Education team. Thank you for being involved with this Adobe in Education event. On behalf of the team, I would like to share some follow-up resources that will not only benefit you, but also your colleagues and wider education networks. Use this QR code or link to find out more about the Adobe Creative Educator program. This is a badging program that involves multiple levels. To obtain the Level 1 badge, you need to do the Creativity for All course on the Adobe Education Exchange. The focus of this course is creativity in education rather than Adobe. You don't need to be an Adobe expert or even a regular Adobe user to get your Level 1 badge. Inject Creativity Live is a live and on-demand show on the Adobe for Education YouTube channel. It is recorded every second Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Time during the school terms. Each show features a practical demo from a teacher who is an Adobe education leader. The demo is of a practical Adobe application and how that teacher is using it in the classroom. Each show also features a thought piece from a leading education thought leader. The show also features me. Let your colleagues know about Inject Creativity Live and join the live audience every second Wednesday night. This QR and link take you to our contact form. Use this form to make sure you are on the email lists for our monthly updates for Australasian teachers. This QR and link takes you to the Australasian Adobe in Education upcoming events site to keep you and your colleagues informed with the wide range of professional learning opportunities that are freely available to all educators in any curriculum area and level. We hope you enjoyed this session. Please do share what you've learnt with your colleagues and wider education networks, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye, Rob. Thank you. All right. Just to finish off this chapter, I'm going to ask anyone if they can guess 2 of the 4 applications that we used to put that video together. I updated that video last week, and it literally took 30 minutes or so to make that whole video with these applications. That's a bit of a clue for you. And is anyone game enough to answer that question, which applications were used? No one is game enough. That's okay. For those watching the recording, we're going to stop the chapters now. Hopefully that's been helpful for you, and I look forward to catching up with you at our next session. Let's just quickly go through when the next session is to remind you. And I'll just share my screen again. And there's a couple of things here. And Tommy, if you can grab that link possibly, bit.ly/edutips-spark. That's a series of tutorials that I've been creating over the last 12 months on all the Adobe Spark tools on a browser and on iOS and on Android. So you can go through those and it's learn a little bit more about what we've been going through. The Adobe Education Exchange, if you're not a member, you should be. We've got about just under 1 million teachers now on this resource, edx.adobe.com. And Tommy, if you're able to get that link in the chat too, that would be helpful. edx.adobe.com. So many great, rich resources there for educators. We mentioned the Adobe Creative Educator program, or at least Rob the Robot did. And we only started the program last July, and we've now got 17,000 teachers already passed and ready in the program. So it's just brilliant. It's such a great way. It's all about creativity as opposed to Adobe, and I encourage you to share that with your colleagues and join that program as well. I'm actually running a webinar next week on the 11th of March, 3:30 South Australian time, and also the same webinar on the 13th of April, 10:30 a.m. holidays, South Australian time, to help people get through that course. So to guide you through level 1 of that particular course. So they're all free, everything's free, and I encourage you to be on that webinar if you can. My show every second Wednesday night. Last night was our last episode, so it won't be on for another 2 weeks. That's on at 6 o'clock South Australian time. Well worth being part of that show too on the YouTube channel, the Adobe for Education YouTube channel. And just finally, while we're finishing this chapter, Sir Ken Robinson said, "We don't grow into creativity, we grow out of it, or rather, we get educated out of it." And let's try to avoid that. Let's try and be the educator that encourages creativity, not discourages it. Thank you very much. Teachers work tirelessly to bring students amazing learning experiences, and Adobe is here to help. That contact form, there's a QR code to it too. We'd love for you to be on my email list so you get a monthly newsletter and update on some inspiration and ideas. The Department for Education in South Australia is encouraging you to use this link here, and I'll put this in the chat after the recording, for a feedback so that they can get feedback on how this session's going. And our next session, Tuesday the 30th of March, will be on Spark Page. So make sure you get involved in that. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.